NBA players usually celebrate after a stunning shot or a wicked slam. It is one way for them to express themselves. Sometimes these feelings get so intense that they display a celebration that the NBA does not want the entire world to see. Here are the worst fine celebration in the NBA. The first on the list is LeBron James' big ball celebration. Last season, the Lakers' 124-116 victory over the Indiana Pacers was one of the few bright spots in a difficult season for them. LeBron James had it going the whole night, finishing with 39 points. After hitting a three-pointer to put his side up by 6 points, James moved back to the opposite end of the floor to perform a big ball celebration. Quickly, he was caught by the Pacers reporter, and of course, the NBA's attention is always focused on the king. He was fined $15,000 for his actions. He didn't just bring up that celebration by himself, it was from the legendary guard Sam Cassell, who is the innovator of the celebration. The likes of Kobe Bryant, Klay Thompson, Fred VanVleet, and Jameer Nelson followed suit. So James paid homage to all the great ballers that came before him. He was aware that he would be penalized. But $15,000 won't even scratch the surface of his bank account. The next worst fine celebration is the hump celebration. I think this guy is crazy. Jimmy Butler's hump. This celebration is kind of funny because he wasn't even playing, or maybe dressed in his game wear. He was along the sidelines in casual clothes, nursing an injury. Perhaps these made Butler think that no cameras would be on him and, maybe, he could do whatever he wanted, though is a very marketable player. Little did he know that the NBA has its cameras pointed at each team's respective star at all times. Besides, Butler has one of the most interesting personalities in the NBA. He was fined $15,000 for his hump gesture. The next is the cutthroat celebration by Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade's time with the Chicago Bulls has been forgotten in history due to his low expectations. On his debut night with the Chicago Bulls, Wade hit a three-pointer basket within the few seconds left, giving his team the lead. His team won, but he was fined. He celebrated by pretending to slash his throat, signifying that the Celtics had lost. The NBA announced that Wade's gesture was inappropriate and fined him $25,000. Though he was well aware of the upcoming fine, he apologized. Gerald Green's trigger finger. Just like Wade, Green celebrated by making a cutthroat gesture. Before that, he pulled out an imaginary pistol and began shooting at the Wizards bench. Green did the gun shooting celebration twice. Despite his actions, the NBA fined him $25,000 for making threatening gestures. Green was filled with emotion. To be more specific, he joined the Heat for the 2015-16 NBA season, their second without LeBron James. As a result, the squad and the entire city carried this chip on their shoulders. They wanted to demonstrate that they could win without James. Green was simply energized by the desperation of the audience and the entire squad to win. Dwight Howard finger tongue. Dwight Howard is one of the craziest NBA players ever. When players display more of their personality, the league likes it. But, like with everything, there are boundaries. Players cannot just rejoice by making inappropriate gestures to the audience. It's worth wondering what prompted Howard to shove his tongue out at Cavs fans. Was he mocking them? To analyze this gesture, we would say they had two meanings, and none of them were acceptable either by the NBA or the fans. So, he was fined $35,000 for that gesture. But we're happy that he can no longer do this kind of celebration.
Let me explain. This ugliness is cruel.
The last worst fine celebration in the NBA is Dikembe Mutombo's finger wag, aka Uncle Moose. He kept for the last because other players on this list were fined for a single incident, but Dikembe Mutombo was fined every time he did his signature celebration, the finger wag. Whenever someone talks about Dikembe Mutombo, aka Uncle Moose, the first thing that comes to mind is the shaking of the finger. The NBA wanted Mutombo to cease his finger wag celebration, but Mutombo continued to do it. He didn't mind paying $5,000 for each wave of the finger. Even Stern himself asked him to quit his stunts. But Mutombo refused to give up on his finger wag celebration. The NBA eventually agreed to let the legendary shot blocker continue, but only if he made sure to do the finger wag at the audience rather than his opponent's face.